Dear friends, welcome to another episode of Military Operations. In this video, we will discuss the Dongfeng EQ2050, the Chinese copy of the American Humvee, which is gaining traction in international markets. But why is this vehicle much more than just a simple copy? And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure to do so now and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates. The story begins in the 1990s when China, fascinated by the Humvee's performance in the Gulf War, decided to develop its own utility vehicle for troop transport. At the time, however, China was far from being the economic and military powerhouse it is today. The Chinese armed forces were facing severe budget constraints, leaving the military with only one option: reverse engineering. Chinese companies, under the pretext of civilian needs, imported civilian Hummers, which were structurally identical to the military Humvee. These vehicles were then completely dismantled piece by piece in secret laboratories, with engineers from Dongfeng and Shenyang analyzing every component, from the chassis to the suspension, and replicating them with local adjustments. The first prototype, developed in 2002, even used original US parts, thanks to a temporary partnership with AM General. However, by 2008, China had achieved full control over the production of those American components, even replacing the engine with a locally produced copy. Speaking of engines, the early units of the EQ2050 were equipped with a GM turbo diesel V8, identical to the Humvees. However, to avoid sanctions, China developed the EQ2050, a strategic move to ensure autonomy. But despite so many copied elements, this vehicle is not just a clone of the American Humvee. It differentiates itself in one of the most critical aspects: armor. While the standard Humvee has very light armor, capable of withstanding only small arms fire, the EQ2058 variant is a rolling fortress. Its body is reinforced with ballistic steel plates, capable of resisting 7.62 millimeter rounds and grenade shrapnel. But the innovation doesn't stop there. The Chinese engineers have implemented thermal signature reduction mechanisms, with doors and hoods made from materials designed to reduce infrared sensor detection. The vehicle also features EMP protection, with electromagnetic shielding safeguarding its electronics from electromagnetic pulses. Additionally, it comes equipped with a tire pressure adjustment system, allowing for real-time changes to adapt between sand, mud, or asphalt. For high-risk missions, the EQ2050 can be fitted with remote-controlled turrets, smoke grenade launchers, and even anti-tank missiles, turning it into a multi-role combat platform. The EQ2050 is like a military Lego, modular and customizable to meet specific mission requirements. There are many different variants, starting with the EQ2050B, the basic troop transport version, which features a hard roof and optional side armor panels. The EQ2058 Phantom, the stealth version, features reinforced armor and thermal-resistant paint, making it ideal for special forces operations. The CSV-A1 is designed for ambush tactics, armed with either a 12.7 millimeter machine gun or a QLZ-87 automatic grenade launcher. The PCP-001, nicknamed Heavenly Hammer, comes equipped with an 82 millimeter automatic loading mortar, capable of firing 4 rounds every 15 seconds. There is also a civilian version, the Brave Soldier, which includes leather seats, air conditioning, and a gasoline engine, marketed as a status symbol for wealthy Chinese buyers. The EQ2050 is more than just a Chinese vehicle. It is a diplomatic tool, as China donates or sells it to over 15 countries, strengthening alliances. One example is Belarus, which received 22 units of the EQ2058 variant, equipped with machine guns and Concours missiles. In Africa, countries like Mali and Burkina Faso operate the EQ2050, showcasing it in military parades to symbolize their partnerships with Beijing. Venezuela and Bangladesh also use the EQ2050, mainly for operations against paramilitary groups in remote areas. Even non-state actors, such as the United Way State Army, UWSA, in Myanmar, use the EQ2050, revealing the shadowy reach of these exports. Although Namibia rejected the model in 2013, opting instead for the Brazilian Agrale Marua. Most customers choose the EQ2050 for one simple reason: cost. At $93,000, it is 40% cheaper than a modern Humvee. The EQ2050 is more than just a vehicle. It is a symbol of China's technological rise, achieved through reverse engineering and tactical adaptation. It reflects a clear strategy to replace Western influence with local solutions, even when those solutions are based on copies. And speaking of copies, we need to address a controversial but crucial topic. Why has China, often criticized for copying Western designs, turned this practice into a major strategic advantage? For China, copying has never been an end goal, but rather a means to accelerate progress. Since the 1980s, the country has followed a strategy aimed at absorbing foreign technology to reduce decades of industrial lag. The EQ2050 is just one example. Other cases include the C919 aircraft, modeled after the Boeing 737, the Wing Lung drone, a near clone of the MQ-1 Predator, and even smartphones with familiar designs, all following the same logic. But how does this strategy work in practice? China employs three key pillars. The first is reverse engineering, which involves dismantling foreign products to analyze both their strengths and weaknesses. The second is local adaptation, where design modifications are made to cut costs and ensure better performance in extreme conditions, such as the EQ2050's engine, which was modified to operate in Tibet's harsh climate. Finally, the third pillar is industrial scale, focusing on mass production efficiency, which no competitor can match in terms of pricing. Criticizing China for copying is easy, but ignoring the results is impossible. The EQ-2050 is a prime example, particularly when it comes to cost. It is 40% cheaper than a modern Humvee, allowing China to flood emerging markets where price is the decisive factor. Technological sovereignty is also a key factor. By mastering the production of every single component, China eliminates strategic dependencies. And finally, there is incremental innovation, because copying is only phase one. Once China fully masters a technology, it then invests in improvements, as seen with the CH-5 drone, which, according to analysts, has surpassed its American counterpart in range. There is also a cultural aspect. In Chinese tradition, imitating masters is an honorable step toward mastery. For Western societies, copying is seen as stealing an idea, a project, or equipment that took millions of dollars to develop. But for the Chinese, copying is not theft. It is viewed as a technological stepping stone. While the West debates patents, China moves forward and is now reaping the rewards. In 2022, China filed more patent applications than the United States. The EQ2050 is not just a Chinese Humvee. It is the Humvee that China needed to have. And that is the key point. Strategic copying is not about replacing an original product, but rather creating a foundation for future advancements. The lesson is clear. In a world where technology equals power, China has understood that effectiveness comes before ethics. And whether we agree with it or not, this approach has cemented China's position among the world's leading powers. The EQ2050 is far more than a simple copy of the American Humvee. It symbolizes China's technological rise and its ability to turn controversial strategies into strategic advantages. Is China's approach of copying to innovate the future of military technology? Leave your opinion in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for more analyses like this.